Hi, welcome to today's QGIS tutorial, lesson 7. In this video, we will learn how to digitize in QGIS 3.14. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so that you can get a notification when I upload the next lesson. If you are new to my channel, you can follow all my previous lessons from the link in the description below. Let's get started. So what is digitizing? Digitizing is the process of creating digital vector data by drawing in a GIS application. For this case, we're going to use QGIS 3.14. For this task, QGIS provides tools for effective digitizing. So we are going to learn about also all these tools that are effective for effective digitizing. In this exercise, we're going to use a base map, which is we are going to use a Google Earth image, and then from these we are going to extract points, going to also extract lines and polygons. Examples of points are airports, cities, trees, fire plugs, anything that just has the XY can be represented as XY coordinates. Then the line are all linear features, like for example, the roads, the rivers, the contours, the railway line, and many more. Then the polygons are all any enclosure. Any enclosure is a polygon, like for example, country boundaries are polygons, lakes, oceans, rock type, and many more. So let's go to QGIS and see how we can digitize points, lines, and polygons. So we'll go to QGIS, go to open a new project, and click to new project, and you'll get a blank project. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to have a base map. So we're going to use a plugin called the HCMGS plugin to get a base map. So in our previous lesson, we had learned how to install the HCMGS plugin. If you haven't known how to install the HCMGS plugin, just go to plugins, then manage and install plugins, and then you can search for the HCMGS plugin. Under all the plugins, and just search for the HCM GIS plugin. Is this? It tells you it is for the base map. So that is what we are actually interested in. So you can install. For me, I've already installed. We are not going to install it again. It will appear on your menu bar. So I'm going to go to the HCM GIS plugin, select HCM plugin, then come and select base map. Under base map, there are very many base maps you can actually add into your QGIS. For this exercise, I'm just interested in the Google satellite. So I'm going to select Google satellite, and it will load the Google satellite. So I'm going to just select a region, maybe say I'll select a region in Brazil. I'll zoom in, just a region where I want to digitize points, lines, and polygons. I already zoom into a region. You can see there's the region that I'm zooming in, there is a river that is passing here. Then under there's a road that also crosses here. So we want to identify some of the features that we are actually going to digitize. The first thing we do is we are going to create a folder that we're going to save our data. Now, we'll go to a working folder on the desktop. So, GIS data. Now, we want to create a new folder here and save all our data here. So, digitizing. We're going to save all our data here. As you can see, the folder is empty. That's going to minimize it. And we are going to start with how to create point layers. We're just going to zoom into our region and see what can we represent as points. And when I zoom in, I can see there's a house here. So we can represent the different structures, house building structures, as points. So I'll come to layer now. Now I want to create layers. Now we are creating layers, and I'm creating a new shapefile layer. So I'm going to select new shapefile layer. What is the name of the file? I will say, go to the place where we are going to create the digitizing data. I'll call it buildings, right? I'm going to save it as buildings in our digitizing folder. Then the geometry type. What kind of geometry? The buildings. I'm going to select point. You can see there is the no geometry points, multi-points, lines, and polygons. So we're going to just select points for the start because we are creating points and points. Then position on dimensions none. Then the projection will I leave it at WGS 84, 43, 86. You can actually change it later on. You want to reproject your data. So under here now the new field, what kind of attributes do we want to give this new field? So I'll just say maybe the type of the building. So type the text data. I can leave the length at 80, but I want to have 30 characters. Then I'll add it to field. Then I can also say the name. Maybe the buildings have names. So I'll say I want to have the name in my attribute list. So it's still text data and can add to field. You can add as many other attributes as possible. What really matters is the type. You can actually change the type to whole number, decimal number, depending on what you want to show. And on the fields list here, you can see there is ID. ID comes by default. Then there's the type that I've just created, and then in case you want to delete one or two, or like for example, I want to delete the ID, I can just select the ID and then come and move the file here so that I remain with the type and name. Then after doing that customization, I can just say okay, and you will see in my layers panel here, the building will appear. So I want to now start digitizing the buildings that are just within this region here. So I will select the building layer here. Then I'll come here to the yellow pencil called the toggle editing. I'll select toggle editing. And then after selecting toggle editing, I'll move now on my right. And then I say add point feature. You can see there is another tab just a few places right that says add point feature. So I'm going to select that add point feature. Then I come to the area. You can see my cursor has changed to a very nice round cursor. So I come to the center of this and then I click on it once. And the type of the building is maybe say a powerhouse. I'm just doing an assumption. Then the name of the building is power station. Right? Then I'm going to say okay, and you can see it has been created here. So I will pan or I'll zoom out a bit and try to locate if there's any other structure within the region. I'm just going to pan left, right, up, down. And you can see there's another structure here. So I'm just going to map that. I'm going to zoom to this. I'm going to map it. Maybe it's a camp. I think this is a mining area. So I'll just type is camp. Camp. I'll call this the type as camping site. And then I'll call it camp 1. Maybe there are several camps, right? So I'll say okay. Then there's another one here, and that is just very small. I'm not going to show that. Then I'll zoom out again, try to locate if there's any other building around. I'll try to pan on this other side. Yes, and you can see there's a house here. I'll just zoom in, and I'll say this is maybe say, I can call it anything. I'll say this is a border post. Maybe it's a border crossing. So post. and I'll say the name is the border crossing. Office. Right, maybe immigration office. I don't put anything. I have the three dots. I can actually change their color so that they can be visible. Let me put a red dot. You can see them well distributed in our area of interest. So I'll click on the save edits for these layers to save the edits. Then I'll stop editing, and we have created our buildings. To see if we have actually any information in our buildings, we'll open and then go to attribute table. You can see now the information that we have actually digitized on our map is now available in our attribute table. So we have three. We can decide to maybe label them if we want. So I'll go to properties. Now that the buildings have attributes, I can say single label. Then I'm going to use the name. I'm going to draw a buffer around it. And the text is going to be, can change the text to be red, right? I click on apply, okay. And see I have Camp 1, the power station, and the border office. And that is how you create points. If I remove the base map, I will remain with the points on my map canvas, so I can actually use them to create a map. Now let's go to the next feature, which is the linear feature, which is the line. I can see there is a road here passing. There is a canal here. You can see something like a canal. Then there is a river. So we want to digitize three types of lines. So I'll start with the river. I'll go to layer, create layer, reshape file layer. We'll save it in our digitizing folder. I'll call it a river. Then I'll come to geometry type. Now this is a linear feature, so I'm going to select a line. I'm going to leave the projection to that. Then the rivers have names, so I'll have an attribute for name. Text data, I can leave it, change it to 30, add to field to list, and then I can add many more information later on. I'll just add the name only first, then, or maybe I can add also the type. They are permanent rivers and then seasonal rivers. Type text data 30, add to field. Then I'll say okay, and I have my small river. Just change the size, the color, because the river is blue in color. Don't have like green rivers. So I have a river shapefile created here. When I look at the attribute table, it is currently empty. So I want to start digitizing this river. I'll zoom out a bit so that I can see it much better. I just want to digitize from somewhere here down somewhere here. So I'm going to select the river. Then I'm going to now select our yellow pencil, which is the toggle edit. Yeah. And then I will move and select add linear feature here. Is add linear feature. Then I'll come to my area. I want to start digitizing from here, so I'll select and I just digitize my river nicely and smoothly as possible. Need to zoom in quickly to the when I reach the end of my river, I just click and then I'll call it, maybe say example river. I'll call it an example river, and the example river, the type is a permanent river. I'm going to say okay. You can see I have created my permanent river. There's no other river nearby, so I'm just going to do that. Then I'm going to click on save because I want to save that permanent river. Then stop editing. I have my permanent river. If I check my Google Earth, you can see now I have the river, which is the line, and the points. So I can decide to label the river and call it by the name. I'll select a buffer, draw a buffer around it, and let text to be blue in color. Then buffer around it. Then placement, I'll place it curved, a line. Okay, and you can see I have the example river here. So the next thing we want to digitize is maybe say the road. It's also a linear feature. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Create new shapefile layer. I'm going to create a road, and I'm going to leave everything like this. Actually, you can change most of these things here. So the name of the road, maybe it's a highway. It has a certain name. I'll leave the text data at 80. No worries about that. The name, then the type. Also, add to fit. Then, yeah, it type. Then I'll come and geometry type is a line. Don't forget that. Then I'll say, okay. So we're going to digitize now the road. First, I'm going to change the symbol so that it's much more visible when draw it. I'm going to take a default for the roads, top of main road. Okay. Now I want to digitize it. So I'll come and select on the road and select on the yellow pencil again, toggle edit. Then I'll select the add line feature. Then I'll just try to zoom in it. Yeah. And then I will digitize my road. Digitize my road. A very, very straight road. Very nice. Or then I'll right click when I reach the end of the road and call it, maybe say, I'll call it an example highway, right? And the type of highway is a tarmac road, right? Because the tarmac roads, maram roads, and all that. So then I'll say, okay, I don't need to mind so much about. So I have the road, the river, then there is the canal here. I also want to digitize another linear feature. So as soon as I've finished digitizing the road to my desire, I will now select save layer edits, then stop editing. So I have edited the buildings, the rivers, the roads. I want to digitize the canal. So I'm going to select layer, create layer, shapefile layer. I'm going to create a canal. So just going to call it canal because maybe there are several canals or irrigation canal, right? Irrigation. And because I've seen this area has so many irrigation schemes, I'm assuming that's an irrigation canal. Then the irrigation canal has a name. Then maybe the type of canal. Then it is a line. Don't forget to change it to geometry type. Then I'll say okay. Then now I want to digitize the canal, so I'll zoom into where the canal is. So then I'll select the irrigation canal here and select the yellow pencil again, the toggle edit pencil. Then I will add line feature. Then I'll come to the tip end of the river. I'll just draw my canal to say yeah. Then I just stop editing. You can actually just extend it depending on how big your area of interest is, but mine, I just want to concentrate on a very small area. Then I'm going to call the canal example canal. Type is irrigation. right? So I'm going to save the edits, and I'm going to stop editing, and I'm going to even change the symbol. Look like a very nice canal. So select maybe this just as an example. Then you can now there one of these actually see how I've done digitizing of the points and lines. Now we want to go to now digitizing the polygons. We'll still do the same thing, go to layer. So we have ascertained that this region has some small farms here, farm here. But you just want to concentrate on this region. You don't want to go so far from this. I'm just going to zoom in first to this. You can see there's a very nice farm here. I'm going to digitize farm. So layer, yeah, shapefile layer. Then I'm going to select land use, right? So there are very different types of land uses. So I'm going to have a name. The geometry type, remember, the geometry type is a polygon. So the name I'll add to list. Then the type of land use, add to list. So then I'll say, okay, now I want to digitize this. Select on the land use. Select on our toggle edit pencil, the yellow pencil. Then I'm going to select on add polygon, and then I'll come and just draw a farm very nicely, very neatly. When I reach the end of my farm, I right click, call it maybe say farm 1, maybe there are several farms. Then or a maize farm, and say maize farm. Then this is cultivated land, right? Then you can come another farm here is just a bare land, so you need to also digitize that. This is farm 2, just bare land, nothing in it, nothing has been harvested. Then we can go maybe say other farms that are available. Doesn't necessarily have to be farm. You can see there's something like a quarry here. So you're going to digitize the quarry. I'm just going to digitize. I think there's a lot of mining going on here. That's near. I don't know if it's good. So I'll say a quarry 1, because you might have several quarries. Then I just call it a quarry. So once I finish that, I can stop editing. I can save the edit and then stop the editing, and I'll have farm and my quarry digitized. So I can just decide to go and say first I want to change the style. I'm going to go to properties, symbology, a single symbol, I'm going to categorize them. Then I'm going to categorize them according to type. Then I'm going to classify, change, use their land, and maybe brown, right? Then cultivated land, I'm going to green. Then the query, I'm going to let it say yellow. Yes. I'm going to go to layer rendering, and then I'm just, but we can actually, I have bare land, the query, and cultivated land. So we can decide to remove now the base layer, and we'll remain with our digitized step files. That is the camp, the points, camp power station and border, which are the points, then the example road, then the example river, and the canal. That is how we accomplish digitizing. So it depends on the nature of and detail of whatever you have. Like for example, if I continue scrolling like this, you can see there are very many. You can actually digitize all these farms. If you are just interested in digitizing farms only, and digitize the farms, then save them as different layers. You can even digitize the points, and you can see the river extends. So you can actually digitize the river as linear features, the road as a linear feature, then the farms as the polygons. There are very many farms in Brazil. So that's how digitize points, lines, and polygons. If you found this video useful and you want to learn more on QGIS 3.14, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and get notified when the next video is uploaded. See you in the next video.